All right, welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, day 108. So, for the typical intro, so there's no updates on the Brent eviction situation. I logged in and double-checked today. Hearing is still for October 6th. And for the evenings, for daytime, I've been continuing to work on the next video. So I worked today on the script for the next video. And for the evenings, we'll continue work on the terminal block mining simulation game. As I've described in the last 20 or so streams, I've been working on support for character layer merging, and I've been working on the very challenging issue of getting it to work with multi-column characters. So tonight, I'm going to work on probably one of the utility function for one of the gnarliest things I'm going to have to support, which is in the screen layers. When I update them, I add a changed region, so that lets me specify a small subset of the screen to only iterate over that, so that it's not checking the entire array of everywhere on the screen. And there's one snag where it's possible that in one layer you could specify a change region, and the boundaries of it could, with multi-column characters, you could potentially have a change region that cuts into another multi-column character in a different layer when you merge them. And if that happens, that will change the results to be unpredictable, or like not deterministic. So it would depend on if there's like another change region that overlaps with it, then you could have different results, and it'll make the test cases fail and be inconsistent. So anyway, I'll just make a utility function to expand to make that case not happen. Yeah, and then this is the other roadmap for once that's finished. James Goodrich 6927 says hi. Beat Orthoplex 64. Yeah, Orthoplex 64 was missing last night as well. All right, I forget if he showed up eventually, but I'm also a bit late today. Hi Robert, how do you get over a past romantic partner who seemed unfathomably attractive? It's been five years, and I'm still not over it. That is beyond my expertise. I answer questions about software development and business here on this stream, but that is too complex. But I can look up the Oracle documentation for Java to see if there's anything about that topic. But if there's nothing there, then I'm sorry, I've nothing for you. All right, let's make some terminal block mining games. So I also I added a new block type, silicon dioxide. Manually invoking the garbage collector. Yeah, that's maybe that's one approach. I know it's difficult to draw analogies. right, there we go. There's silicon dioxide. And because it's white, it just has the same icon as titanium dioxide. Oh, that's a mistake, actually. I forgot to prefix it with cas colon. Yeah, I figure it's about time to give credit where credit's due. Robert, don't give up on your dreams. Thanks. I was probably just gonna continue with him. Anyway, I haven't lost faith yet. Any day now, I should get a super chat of $12 billion or so. That'll change things for the long run. All right, that's what it's supposed to be. So we'll start off with some simple test cases and then just build it up from there. It's the simplest way to debug it. How many hours a day do you genuinely do focused work? Some claim a couple hours of deep work is the limit. Depends what I'm working on, and I guess also what's going on in the world. I mean, the last few years, the crazy news going on has distracted me on more than one occasion. I mean, like when COVID was ramping up, there was a good few weeks where I was just like watching the news all day, as everything was some days when it doesn't make sense. You think like, this doesn't affect me. I shouldn't get distracted by this. But like recently when the U.S. like sent bombers over to Iran and the war's ramping up and stuff. I'm checking the news all day. I'm like, is this a big deal? Are we going into World War III? And then I guess nothing happened. So yeah, I would say last few years, increasingly, I'm more distracted by that kind of stuff, checking news or whatever. But I'd say yeah, it really depends on the day. If things are kind of once I get the more I get into a task, I guess with business, like when you have a 9-to-5 job, when you go into a job, it's clear what you're doing. You have like a routine and schedule and stuff, and other people tell you what to do. But like if I just finished a video and I'm transitioning from the last thing I was working on to the next thing, sometimes I have to go through a phase where I'm not very productive because I'm like trying to figure out which new task should I become engrossed in. Should I start do like a deep dive on another video or something like that? Something that's going to take like a lot of my time for a month. And I'd say the deeper I get into it, the more I do actually work. But if I just finished something and I have to figure out what's the next priority and kind of brainstorm where to get started, that can take a bit of time to actually be focused on working. So yeah, I guess it could be between like a few hours to eight or more sometimes if I'm productive. And of course, there's just random stuff. Like the other day, I accomplished no useful work. So I cleaned and did laundry and got some groceries and If World War III took place, what kind of role would you play, do you think? That's a difficult question to answer, because in actual development of World War III, I mean, you could argue that we already are in World War III. When people define war, like if there's a one country can formally declare war on another, that's one. Like a lot of those Middle Eastern countries, they're always what is it? I think in Yemen or something, it might be Yemen, on their flag, I think there's like 3 different groups that claim to be in control of the government, and I think one of them, they literally have like it's written right on their flag that they want to like destroy America and stuff. So and they're attacking ships there and stuff, and civilian ships, and so I mean that's already pretty significant escalation. I guess when it gets serious is when there's a formal declaration of war, which also depends on the jurisdiction. In the United States, a formal declaration of war, I think, allows them. I don't know all the legal ins and outs, but I think formally declaring war allows Congress to, I think, start like conscription, so you can start mandatorily requiring that people join the military and serve in, combat roles and stuff. I'm not sure about Canada, if we have conscription, but I'm sure like if things escalated, they just hurriedly pass a bunch of laws, and then I'm sure there'd be public pushback and debate on it. But I mean, we could have like a low profile war for a very long time, where we just have like civilian life continues as normal. I've talked to a lot of people that I asked them about like current developments in Ukraine and stuff like that in the Middle East, and they just say like they don't even watch the news anymore, so they're totally unplugged from it. They're happy in their bubble. And I mean, if it doesn't affect the mainland, then people can do that. So I guess the answer could be that I would just continue doing what I'm doing until a formal declaration of war requires that I be conscripted. Okay, that's the basic scaffolding for the algorithm, or for the test. That's probably a set. Right. That's the simplest case that does nothing. Bundestag. I know I was learning German at one time. That's a day of the week, is it? Or I can't remember what that word means. Tomorrow? No, that's Morgan. Or is that morning? I can't remember. I forgot all my German. What does it mean? Refresh my memory. Like a parliament. Okay. Okay. I used to listen to I started listening to like this German radio station. And I couldn't understand any of it. I used to listen to that while I was playing World of Warcraft back in the day. And I remember but they always talked about Bundestag. And das Wetter in Bayern. All the days of the week are Montag, Dienstag. I forget. Haven't even thought about it in years. Like you're doing some Java? Yes, I'm writing some test cases for my terminal-based video game. German is a fun language. One of the things I learned quickly is they have this habit of like making entire sentences a single word. So it seems like there's a lot more words to learn than there is. Like they have I remember one of them when I was learning was like 20 dollar Goldstück, which means like $20 gold coin, and it's just all one word. PRM development. Hello again. Today I'm learning Kotlin. You're programming Java. Have you ever had experience with Kotlin? What would you recommend to a beginner? I've not. I know a number of people have come into chat and recommended learning Kotlin. I don't know. Honestly, there's I have to just like say no to like learning all these new things, because everyone is always like, hey, you should learn Rust, you should learn Golang, you should learn NeoVim, you should like use this large language model thing. There's too many things to learn. But yeah, to learn for beginner advice for Kotlin, I have no specific advice because I never used it before. What about beginner advice for Java? Kotlin and Java are similar. Kotlin is Android official development language. Oh, is it? Interesting. The last time I programmed Android, it was just like, it was Java. I'm not sure when that became like an official, when they officially moved Android from, or I don't know, maybe it's always been that way. But I guess the last time I did Android development was 2010, which was a little while ago. Yeah, advice for Java development. I'm not sure. Does Kotlin use the same like build tools like Maven and all that kind of stuff? I would say that's probably some of the bigger annoying things that you can waste a lot of time on are all related to like build systems and stuff. Yeah. I'm not really sure what to advise. There's just like a million little issues you'll have to figure out with Maven. I guess what I'd suggest is try to learn a little bit about the structure of like writing POM files from scratch. I'm not saying necessarily do that all the time, but a lot of IDEs will have some kind of like fast way of like adding stuff to the POM file. But I find oftentimes an IDE, you'll get into situations where the IDE is not smart enough to actually fix the problem in the POM file, so it can be better to just modify it yourself. DBH, the projects I think I'm using, IntelliJ build system, or what it's called. Yeah, in that case, I would say it's also good to understand, like, learn how to build your project directly on the command line, because when I got this project working in IntelliJ, the way I got it to work, I had to like know something about the Maven life cycles and stuff like that, and being able to like run the build command and test it on the command line and figure that out was extremely, it was the first step, the prerequisite in actually getting it to work and build the way I wanted in the IDE. And if you don't know how to do that and debug that process, it's the kind of thing where if you're just Googling like how to build project in IntelliJ, you copying pasting stuff, off Stack Overflow, you'll probably get quite confused. Using an IntelliJ build system, yeah. I'm not sure if there's probably like IntelliJ probably has support for like multiple ways of building things, but I think most like real Java projects use I guess either Maven or what's the other competing one? I think Ansible, I think. Damn, Canada HU? How's that? I don't know how to answer that question. I learned maybe when I went to screw around with Minecraft mods. That's a little complicated. Yeah, you can kind of just learn it as you go. Alex Dev Stuff sends $20 and says null. I don't know, his extremely important message got swallowed. It was truncated to a null string. Thank you very much. And that's $20 US too, which is even more in Canadian. W indeed. It'll go straight toward the World Domination Fund. Hello, Robert Elder Software and team. How's it going? The letter. All right, I'm gonna have to adjust my test case. Going good, excellent. Hiking, W stream. Excellent. Glad you like it. Alex does stuff. Welcome to the student here. what games have you played that inspired making this game, if I may ask? Honestly, I would say I have not played any game that even remotely resembles what I have in mind. Which is actually kind of one of the reasons why I think it makes sense to make this, because I don't think there's anything quite like it. People have mentioned like Gmuds, and actually I really should do a bit more of a deep dive on some of the things, the roguelikes and things that people have recommended. NetHack, I think, was one. I think I googled that for like 2 minutes. I've never played it before. I think one of the main reasons why I decided to pursue this is I think it makes sense. A video game is something you can add like anything to, and the opportunities for like monetization are quite abstract. Like, for example, if I make a piece of accounting software and I want to make more money on the accounting software, I have to add like new useful accounting features, and there's a very specific roadmap to success. Very little, there's not very many paths to go, but with like a game concept, it's kind of open-ended. And I think the aspect of like for people who have contributed to have like dedications for block types in the game, I think that's just kind of it's like a meaningless kind of special thing. But I guess the more people that actually get sponsored block types, the more meaningful it becomes like a community collection of blocks almost. Should I quit my boring software job and build my own apps? Based on the way you just asked the question, I would say almost certainly you should not do that. If you're just like a 9-to-5 employee at a giant corporate business, and you've had some like side idea for an app, especially like a mobile app or something, it probably will not work out financially for you if that's your goal. Now, if you've worked at like Amazon for 10 years and you have like $1 million in savings and you're getting burnt out and you want to just like unpack and do your own thing, do your own side thing for 6 months to a year, and it just doesn't matter if you're successful, that might be okay. You learn a bit about business and stuff, and then probably your first app idea will not at all be commercially successful. But if you do want to like pivot out of corporate world for the long term, it might be good. If you do want to like quit corporate and like build your own independent piece of software, I think there's way more you have to think about to make that financially successful. Like you have to, I would say, especially like the market is changing all the time. Maybe 10 years ago, you could maybe have some hope of like, even then you probably need a bit of venture capital to actually build your initial like SaaS product or something, and then get customers, and then maybe if you're like a really genius marketer, you could like bootstrap that. But these days, any kind of like there's a lot of things that people call them a software company, and if you go to their I think that's actually a lie. And if you go, there's a lot of things that are people call tech companies that are actually sales and marketing companies, because if they call it a tech company, go to the company's webpage and look at their job listings and ask, how many engineers are they hiring, and how many account managers, sales, marketing people are they hiring. In very many cases, the number of open positions for like sales, marketing, account management is like, two or three times what it is that they're hiring for engineers. And in my opinion, not my opinion, but mathematically speaking, that means like most of the inputs are going into trying to get people to buy the product. So if you just quit your job and try to build an app, the most difficult thing is going to be like, how do you get people to initially use it? And if it's some like free free calendar app or something, an Android app or something like that, and you're planning to, convert a small percentage of customers, it's probably not going to work out financially. Working on your own small business or consulting feels like such a big risk for me. Yeah, it is. But that's entrepreneurship. If you're successful, then you can be independent. You can escape the matrix. Would you ever let AI look at your code bases? I find it odd developers just allow their entire days or months of work to be swallowed into corporate databases. I push it to GitHub every day, so technically it is, Microsoft's AI is looking at it. I guess that's the future we're going toward now. It's everything we create is going to be swallowed up by AI models. Having said that, I think the AI model is still like, I don't know, they still struggle sufficiently enough that humans are still needed in the loop. fly across the code. What's our approach? Work down bugs one at a time. My approach. I'm working on a really like myopic. This is a very like corner case feature I need to support. It's like so down in the weeds. It's almost the point where I'm like, is this a totally crazy approach? Should I give up on this? So the overall approach I've been using. So I need an algorithm to efficiently and correctly merge together screen layers so I can display them. There's a whole bunch of edge cases with, if I'm going to use emojis, which is a big part of the game, those can take up multiple columns, so that presents a number of edge cases where you can have like a single column character merged down onto a two column character. And so my approach is, I did have some kind of like untested like ad hoc merging algorithms, but they were full of bugs, and so I just said I'm going to bite the bullet and make some unit tests, and just like fuzz test every single possible combination, so it's like super robust and I'm not constantly coming back to this. My overall approach for like very precise things, for like highly unit testable, fuzz testable things, I think you can use them almost as like you can use the implementation and the test cases to pivot off of each other. So what I did first is like, well, actually I had the implementation first, and then I wrote some of the test cases. I had like a basic implementation working, and then I wrote the test cases for what I thought it was supposed to be doing. And then when I ran the test cases, they would fail, and then I realized, oh, there's actually some corner cases in my implementation, and then so I would go back and forth between like fixing bugs in the test cases, fixing the implementation until they all pass. And then that got me to a point where I just kind of slowly consider adding coverage for things. So the simplest test case I have here is, expand this change region that's just like going from 0, 0 to 1, 1. And then the expected thing is just return that same thing. So that this is basically a test to test that the test works, and it can just go through the whole mechanism and actually compare it. And the next one actually illustrates the whole thing I want to do. And so when I tested this one first, I just like returned whatever the input was. And so this will fail now on the second one because it's actually supposed to do something. So it's supposed to take the region from 0, 0 to 1, 1. And it's going to realize that this here character takes up 2 spaces. So it should return a larger region. But that's only one of the cases. So like if I have multiple layers, it has to be able to find that there's a wider character on the layer below. So I'll just keep adding test cases to make the behavior more and more complex with like specific hard-coded cases. And then once the implementation works for the like basic simple cases that I can, like if this fails, I can easily figure out why this fails by stepping through the debugger, because it's just a very specific hard-coded case that's so simple. And once that case works, then I can like I can turn the same feature onto the fuzz testing cases, which test like every single possible behavior. And so I find it's easier, it's less daunting when you're just going like one little bit at a time. You're kind of like slowly ramping up the difficulty of the tests. And you can, once you have a complicated implementation, you can basically use the implementation as a test case for the test suite. So that if your tests are like complicated, what you can do is just like freeze don't do any changes to the implementation. If the test cases pass and you don't change the implementation, and then you refactor the test cases and they start failing, that means that you added a bug to the test cases. So then you can just keep like fixing the bugs in your tests until they all pass again. And while you're at it, you can make them more advanced. Game Dev Chad, is that I can't, it's hard to see that icon. Is it saluting emoji? Your custom block type is added to the game. Salute. Makes sense. Yeah, I had to I had a typo in the cast number, but I fixed that tonight. Let's see if this compiles. Oh yeah, because I did not implement that. By the way, I tried to ping you on Discord, but you also don't accept. Oh, okay. Okay. Did you send me a friend request? I'll take a look and I wasn't sure what your handle. I have gotten some like random friend requests with people I didn't know. I didn't follow up with them. Brown paper bag says, hello Robert and chat. How's it going? It's weird that YouTube is switching randomly back and forth between the usernames and display names. That throws me off. Request sent. All right, I'll take a look. All right, there we go. Game Dev Chad. Silicon dioxide. Since it's just white, it looks the same as titanium dioxide. Surprised I get to see the last 4 now. Yeah. Is block mining game multiplayer? Not at this time. Technically, I had a network-based multiplayer mode before I had even a single player. But the current state of the implementation is for the multiplayer client. There's like every player that connects to the server plays as the same player, so there's no internal model to separate it, and every player is just like doing race conditions. So technically, if everyone connected to it, you would be able to everyone would be like running around with their own copy, their own individual copy of the player character, and you could see other people mining stuff, but you would not see their characters. And there's no concept of a game tick. And another aspect is there's no real like server process. So actually chunk initialization is done by the client. But if I ever get this stupid screen merging stuff finished, I think one of the next major features will be multiplayer support if I get there. But I also think that's going to be ages and ages of me refactoring stuff. But I think if I can get to that point, that would, I think, substantially increase the sellability of the concept. Y'all gonna see the meteor shower on August 12th, 13th. I didn't even know there was one. Interesting. I'm kind of in a city area, so it might not be super visible here. There's a guy on Twitch who he has like an astronomy channel. I think his name is Astro Canuck, and he has like a you know, an ideal setup for doing telescope stuff. And I think he's in Ontario here. I'm sure he'll be on top of that. Late night trading, some kind of mania happening in my Ethereum treasury stocks. Interesting. Is there also mania in the regular equities? Or I guess what? Oh, it's Sunday. Probably the market's closed. I guess is the currency market. The currency market is probably open somewhere around now. Is the currency market going crazy? And I'll tell you if actually I remember the night that Bear Stearns collapsed. I was actually trading. I was trading Forex back then, and I think that was one of my best Forex trades. I made like 100 or 200 pips in a day, which I guess was only like $100 because I had no money. You're in Ontario? Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess it must be visible here then. Some stocks trade on NASDAQ overnight now, since maybe last year or so. Yeah, that makes sense. I imagine there's probably a lot of demand for 24-hour trading. It's kind of amazing how unsophisticated some aspects of the market were for so long. Like I think back when I started trading, I don't even think it was long. Like stocks used to trade in fractions or something. I can't remember what the fraction amounts were. There was like eighths or something, and it was not even that long before I started trading. That was still a thing. So it also depends on like their things trade and settle in different places. So there's like NASDAQ, and then there's I think other exchanges. So technically you can trade like you can always find some counterparty 24 hours a day. It just means you'll have to accept like a crazy spread somewhere. But I imagine that stuff is much more sophisticated than when I looked at it. Let's see what that does. Ethereum's not moving like this. Just companies that hold it for all the new stablecoin hype. The Monero 51% attack situation is both interesting and too much for me to take the time to fully understand. Yeah, the crypto space, it honestly, it just seems like a massive house of cards. That's kind of like it's developing this reputation of being stable, probably because it's never really been like tested for stability. And the market is becoming so complicated now that I don't know. I don't even like. Honestly, it looks like there's already tons of room for like fraud and misdirection and all kinds of stuff in like with like regular, repackaging debt and like with regular derivatives. There's so many opportunities for fraud, but with cryptocurrency, there's just astronomically even more. We have the Genius Act in the U.S. now, so it's making moves. Genius Act. Okay, that's some new legislation is that actually what it's called? The Genius Act? And it somehow affects Ethereum. I have so completely lost interest in anything crypto. At this point, I'm just anticipating like everyone's like, oh yeah, you should buy it. It's gonna go up. And then it'll just totally, completely crash. And everyone will lose everything. Or it'll like the liquidity will dry up, or there'll be some, like there's all kinds of room for, like they had a Bitcoin ETF, but the Bitcoin ETF trades at a slightly different price from the underlying Bitcoin. And the difference is to like price and some like, market risk and stuff like that. But what I anticipate will happen is like for, any of that stuff that's wrapped in an ETF, in a time of crisis, the spread between the underlying crypto and the ETF is going to diverge to something massive. And then whatever people thought would happen will not happen, and then they'll lose money. Tying stablecoins to high quality liquidity assets with regulation. I've had almost no interest in crypto until this development. Yeah, my money's on just like the whole thing is a house of cards. Like it's going to seem stable until it gets tested for stability, and then the whole system is just going to implode. To mine Bitcoin. That'd be interesting. I looked into that. Apparently there was like if you're into all the weird altcoins and stuff, there was a few times where like it was just and it was like totally profitable. You could just mine it on like Amazon Web Services and make money. All right. That's wrong. What Vim theme do you use? I don't use any plugins at all. I think that's right. What is Vim? Like the stove cleaner? Vim is in this editor. Whoops. This editor that I use. So right now I'm in Vim, which is the text editor for writing code. And he was asking about what Vim theme. So there's some. You can get like plugins and stuff that make it that like add features and stuff. Actually, I don't even know much about. What was that? There's one that was called like Nerd Tree or something. That was like one of the first ones I used, but eventually I decided it makes sense to just learn. Vim already has a lot of features baked in, so I don't really even feel a need to use anything else. I thought that was a cool terminal. Yeah, I changed the colors. That made it looks a bit cooler. It also green on black. It just has a high contrast. Your eye is 3 times more sensitive to green photons as other colors. I forgot terminal can't do this. Not sure what you mean by it. Can't do it. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. All right, let's see why it's not working. Oh, that's why. Don't use Linux. Not good with it. I'm an Apple user. Typing this message on iPad Pro. I'm pretty sure you can get Vim also on a Mac. It's still a Unix-based operating system. So quite a few things, like getting. I don't have a lot of experience in this, but I think getting something like terminal stuff to work on Mac is that, like, going from Linux to Mac is easier than going from Linux to Windows in terms of compatibility. I think the IPA DOS kernel has base of Linux somewhere in the OS. IPA DOS kernel. I'm not familiar, but is that an Apple thing? Yeah, I was serendipitous. Just got through a bunch of your vids. And now a live stream. Welcome. Which videos did you watch? Oh, that's why. Went through a lot of the job vids. Really appreciated the honesty. Funny though, because I started on how to make CPU. Yeah, that one's my most popular one. That one's got like 14 million now. The thumbnail is someone picking up a rock. That someone is me. How'd you get your Vim to look green if you use no color scheme? So the I think there's in preferences. I just have this color set here, so that's what changes this. And that's the one I prefer. And then Vim. So Vim just uses the, depending on the settings, like there's if you just install Vim from scratch, in like etc Vim, there's like a global vimrc. So there's also one in like, there's that one, which I don't know if that exists. Okay, I guess I did set that. But there's also this global vimrc, and this has a bunch of stuff in it. And then it, of course, it also includes some other ones like vimrc.local, and I think it's like 5 different locations. There's a way in Vim to actually ask Vim which vimrc files it's pulling in. And based on what's in the vimrcs, it could potentially that can change the colors. And sometimes if you like go to a different machine, the default Vim version will have like slightly different syntax highlighting and stuff. And it's also based on like the term variable, and I think some like stuff that detects various things, and that can change what it looks like. I think on my other computer, if I open Vim in a different terminal, it'll have different colors. Oh wow! Raxus sent 5 gifted memberships. Let me read those chats for you. Do you watches How I Became Dangerous? Step 1, get some sand. Step 2, make the rest of the CPU. No, it's get a rock. This is my kernel, Darwin, kernel version 25. Yeah, that's the kernel. There's probably like some user space stuff around it, though. You can probably there's probably like a terminal that you can open. If you look in if you look in application search and look for terminal, you can probably find a terminal, and then you might be able to just like type in Vim. I think it's you probably have to do like brew install Vim or something if you want to use Vim. Can you run color scheme? Yes, in a second. Congratulations to Arrow Portu. Real on the circuit. The real autodidact. Nishant _S. And Mr. Skelton. Congratulations. Did I get one? I guess you didn't. There's some algorithm to figure out who I guess are the most loyal watchers. Decide who gets one. iPad OS doesn't have a terminal. Oh yeah, actually tablets, I think they might. I think it's to make cracking the software harder. Yeah, it probably is. Let's see, what was that? Someone want to know like color scheme, I think. was it? Oh, wait, it says default. Maybe that's everything. Robert, I'm struggling with my time usage. I like to code, but I just end up watching YouTube and going around the internet all day. Got any suggestions? I guess the part of that is figuring out how your own mind works. I guess it also depends on what your daily routine is. I found a pretty effective technique for me is rather than set an ambitious goal, set a goal that is so unambitious to get started that it's almost that it's almost impossible to ignore or skip. So if you set I found having the regular occurrence of just work on this, grind on this game for a couple hours every day. Just having the routine keeps it in your mind, and it's easier to get started. I find just cutting off the work. If I end the task early, then I'm thinking about it for the next day. So maybe instead of trying to be super ambitious and work for stuff for 8 hours until you burn out, because there's a tendency, if you do a lot of work, there's a tendency to reward yourself and then say oh well, I did a lot of work yesterday, I need to rest today. But if you have if you set your goal of I'm gonna legitimately work on this for 5 minutes, even though that's unambitious, I think oftentimes if you start working on it for something for 5 minutes, you get into that that rut that you get into working mode if you just spend 5 minutes on it, and then you'll end up spending more than 5 minutes on it. Kind of just how you get into a rut of watching a video. If you're just oh, I'll just watch this for 5 minutes, and then there's a tendency to continue doing the same thing that you did a couple of minutes ago. And if that thing is working, then that can you can still make a lot of progress over time. $50, wow. H. Oh man, I gotta embrace boredom. Some folks need a break. Okay, I guess congratulations to Game Dev Chad, just Mark 484982, Nicola, just Artie, Mayos 27, PN Rash R. Wow, that's so many. That's I think that's the biggest that I've ever seen. Dayman, congrats to the Lewis 971, local admin, the letter, stable Gren, Gretzel Wong, Pixel, Nekik, Jerix is grinding, Dare the balloon, Apurong, Jan-YT. Oh man, I'm missing them. There's no way I can get through all those. Captain Cave Monkey, Pierre 1539, OS Madge, YOLO Sun 1187, the 519. This also shows everyone who's watching the stream. Yeah, it's doxing everyone. Congrats to user dash Mamant. I guess I can actually I can click that top fans thing also to see who's watching. Mega TIV Cola X9H Brian CV 1RJ XXX that's JS XX. Well, thank you very much to Horace. H__O_RC. Did I get it? I'm not sure. You could scroll up maybe. Didn't get it? Yeah, I don't know how the algorithm works. It must maybe it goes by watch time or something. Got skipped. Not funny. I don't know. I guess it's something in the YouTube algorithm. It uses some AI to figure out who's most likely to maybe it's probably going based on like who it thinks is most likely to renew their channel membership. Yeah, thank you very much. That's for gifted memberships. I think you're only allowed to do it at the $4 or more membership level. So that's almost like $200 worth of memberships. Thank you very much, and congrats to all the gifted memberships. Now membership receivers. Now you don't have to watch any ads. Maybe trying to pull people into chat. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows how the algorithm works? Proud to be the first beneficiary of the gift membership blast. Well, you deserve it. Didn't get anything. Maybe next stream. Oh, maybe that's why. I guess that's one aspect of gifted memberships. Now people will be like, oh man, I better hang out next time. Actually, it's possible you can be offline and get it. Actually, probably a lot of those people are offline. And that they're probably like not even here right now. Actually, that would, because there's only 21 concurrent viewers, but there was 50 gifteds. So some of those people will like wake up tomorrow and they won't even know why they where the membership came from. They'll be confused. A few people are probably second monitoring or audio off. Yeah, probably. Speaking of gifted membership, I just got one in my email. Excellent. Oh, so you just tuned in? Someone gifted 50 memberships. And there's only 20 something people here, so I guess it gifted people who are not even here. Think I'll get one next stream? Maybe. I don't know how the algorithm works. I guess technically I don't have I turned the monetization off for the streams. So do you guys get ads at all for the live streams? Love trying to figure out weird algo nonsense. Yeah, everything is so complicated now. I would admit, it's probably at the point where like even the engineers don't know how the algorithms work anymore. I think it gifted people from past streams. I think I attended a few days ago. Yeah, it would have to, because there's only 21 people viewing, so there has to be like 30 people who are offline at least. Haven't seen ads. That's good. Yeah, I turned off monetization because I have the chat embedded, and I don't know. Like when I monetize it, I have to declare that it like does not contain offensive content or whatever to be monetizable. So like if someone comes here and starts talking about, you know, inappropriate stuff, I can't really control that. So just to be safe, like, because if you get your monetization flagged, then if it stops like trusting your monetization declaration, it'll like affect monetization of other videos. Someone starts throwing around gamer words. Yeah, for my the money, I turned it off because like the actual ad revenue was almost nothing anyway for live streams, so apparently YouTubers make more from YouTube Premium users than ads. Yeah, and the like the memberships and super chats were way more for the live revenue, so I decided it wasn't worth the risk to advertise. And if I need to squeeze more out of it, maybe I could go back to the maybe we could like make some clips or something. Just heard about YouTube's swears per minute counter that gives companies before they decide to reach out. Yeah, there's all kinds of like, you know, rules about swearing in the first 30 seconds or something, and I don't even know what they all are. I've actually been curious how much YouTubers make, because I think it was a split between how much time I watch certain streamers. I've only got like 3 YouTubers I watch on this account. I'm on Premium 2, couldn't stand YT ads. Yeah, I don't subscribe to much, but I watch a lot of YouTube, so I decided to bite the bullet and just, when they started like blocking the ad blockers, I was like, you know what, I'll just pay for it. Just spend 5 minutes each stream talking positively about Google. Yeah, I mean, when people super chat and stuff, I assume the encouraging, like people have mentioned PayPal and stuff like that, but I've decided to sacrifice the 30% to the YouTube gods to please the algorithm. All right, let's try to finish this. How long do you stream for into the night? Usually I do, I guess I've been doing, I started basically, I've been trying to keep a routine. I've been starting at about 10, and I do for like two and a half hours. So I'll like about now is where I usually end it. But I'm on the cusp of fixing this test case, so I'll try to fix that before I go. So it's getting through the first test case, I think. It's kind of cool that you can stop, read chat for half an hour, get back to working like nothing. Yeah, it kind of, I had to develop that skill a bit over time. I did a couple really long live streams. And it honestly is difficult. But after a while, I can just get into the vibe of it. I'm also not very productive on stream. Maybe it's my attention span. Maybe it's all, I don't know. It's also I'm usually pretty mono focused, and it was to be honest, this is actually kind of like I would say this is more kind of like an ADD type of thing, to be talking to chat and debugging a program. And it's like if I was debugging a program and I'm bored, so I'm like listening to, but I'm like, if I'm working and listening to music and like watching YouTube videos, that's pretty distractible. And I compare it to be the same, to be like, looking back and forth, and but it's a skill I've had to develop a bit. And if I can bring in revenue, if I can basically get like paid to work, it's I think it's a useful skill to develop. I find it hard to focus on stuff if I bounce, so I try not to do high brain tasks on cam. Yeah, it is difficult, but I've decided that if I can just like push past it, then it's a valuable skill to have. Okay, I'm on the second iteration. This is where my error case is. So the offset is 0. All right, current startx is -1. Oh boy, that night was a busy night. We were supposed to work for a paycheck every 2 weeks. Gotta go. What was I hired for again? Wow, thank you very much for the $10 super chat. I'll check your Discord message. We'll get you a block type in the game. Thank you very much. So, maybe I don't want this -1. So many donations in the stream. Yeah, it's I really didn't expect it. I think it's been I guess after the day 100. Yeah, 56. There was a stretch of like 3 or 4 days where it basically went, it was like 0 new members, 0 super chats, which I'm okay with. But tonight was a good night, and then also a couple nights ago. It's been a pretty good, consistent, just like random $30 here and there. which is awesome. This whole thing was kind of an experiment just to see if this is like a economically viable activity. So it may turn out to be, which would be great because then I could continue to develop software. And if people get something out of it and learn, that's great. I think people like to just like it's a very low friction way to learn stuff. You can just tune in and then passively observe and watch someone else work. If you're like curious about whether you want this career path or not, they could get through a year in no time. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'll get up to a year. I went to check your Twitch. I was surprised you were focusing on YouTube. Yeah, I should probably multi-stream, but I don't have the equipment for it at the moment, and it's just I have too many things I'm focusing on to try and get through. If this is an experiment, are you going to publish a video paper on it? I was actually thinking about doing YouTube video, but like I live streamed for 100 days, and this happened, and go through some highlights of just like my perspective of live streaming. It's a very interesting new, I don't know, social concept. It's like you can classify it in terms of social media, but it's also like it's surprising. It's perplexingly like very social, but also antisocial. Much for fun. I like to listen to your voice while I'm coding. Yeah, a lot of people have said that it's just like some noise. I can kind of understand how it's kind of like it's almost just like having the radio on, but nobody listens to the radio anymore. Also learn about some testifying here sometimes. Might not be a bad idea to try out the lunchtime market. I could. It's been a very active 2-hour stream. Yeah, it has. That'd be a cool vid for sure. Yeah, there's some interesting highlights I could bring up, but I'm working on another video topic for the moment. I'll focus on getting that done first. I think the 1 year one will go viral. Yeah, I don't know. That's a lot of pressure to keep it up for another 200. I guess I only have another 250 days. Maybe a nice difference. I spent 100 days in Minecraft. Vomit covering search results. Still think of your explanations that you teach more people here than you would as a professor. Yeah, I think the efficiency of video, like you make one video and it just there's no limit to how many people can see it. Two's a talk, three's a convo. 7's when talk breaks down. 30 plus is when everyone is monologuing. Yeah, back when it was around Christmas, and I started live streaming a bit more. I think the max was like 100 people, like 100 concurrent viewers, and that was getting hard to keep up with. A lot of your demographic might be on their phones during lunch. Yeah, it's probably true. Oh, class, have you learned blah and blah? And you forget it tomorrow. All right, let's try to fix this algorithm. So that should start here. Should start at the current character. So the thing I'm looking for is actually left. What is x0? X0 is so this algorithm is not totally complete. X0 and X and Y0 or YO, those are the X and Y offsets for the respective layer. So the algorithm in general that I'm making, it's going to be to merge together screen layers of the columns, and I wanted to be like a very general purpose algorithm. So you'll take an arbitrary number, an array of screen layers, and each screen layer can have an arbitrary position offset. So when I'm figuring out how to merge them together, I have to normalize them so that they all align to the bottom layer. So these are the position offsets, the placement offset relative to the bottom layer. Gonna call it quits. So yeah, have a good night. Code for game. Yep. That's a game that you can play in your terminal. There's a link to the GitHub in the description. All right, this might work. Took a sec to figure out what the database access was for. So the world is stored in a SQLite or Postgres database. I think that's what I want. Was that the how I became dangerous short? I'm glad you enjoyed that one. That was a lot of work to make that one. It's not what I expected. SSHing into your localhost from the video. Yeah, if you like the whole theme of that was on the three like beats, I'm pressing a key, and the Easter egg from the video is that, so I illustrated 4 different commands: top command, SSH command, cat command, and the other one, I think there was another one. Oh, XXD. And when I'm like looking at the camera pressing the keys, I'm actually pressing those keys for consistency. I appreciate the time spent on it, rewatched it, and paused it to see what you were running. It's fun production lore. Oh yeah, kind of enjoyed how it poked at the recent uprising of skids on the internet. What does skids on the internet? Myself being one after next left. A few parting gifts on my Windows system. Okay. Yeah, another piece of lore is so the scene of me sitting on the bench in the park. So I first filmed with the telephoto lens. So I set the camera up and then like went and sat down for a couple of minutes, and then when I went up to get the camera to pick it up, take the tripod and sit back down and film the scene from the front with that little like piece of plastic there. Someone asked me about my lens, and I started talking to them, and then a couple old ladies came and sat down on the bench, So then I had to interrupt the conversation with that guy, and then was asking about the lenses, and I kind of kindly asked the old ladies if they could get up for a second and just like give me like, you know, a minute, 30 seconds, a minute to film the last scene, because the park was kind of full of people that day. So the scene of me like kind of looking down sad, there was the old ladies were like standing there by the side waiting for me to finish filming. And then I was thinking about in my mind when I thought about like what the progression of the video would look like. So there's the scene of me in front of the so I had the macro lens right up close to that dandelion flower where I'm walking by it, and I was thinking of the scene of the bench. I was thinking about in that scene it would be like an old dandelion with the dandelion seeds. It's like a withered flower in the next scene. That would like make sense with the progression, like the downward progression. But I at that area of the park, the grass was like super trampled down. And because those old ladies were there waiting for me to finish, I just grabbed like a random piece of garbage that was on the ground, and that's what I used for that scene. I was thinking about how nice it must have been to walk around the city at night without anyone to bug you about your gear. Yeah, it was still like, even late at night, like there's still random people walking around and stuff. I just kind of still have to have my wits about me. All right, I think we almost got it. Back to board again. All right, tune in for some exciting debugging. No, it's not. I don't want the start. It's got to be the end. Pondering, pondering, pondering. Pondering TM. If movies have taught me anything, it's that breakthroughs in programming most often accompany a high-energy techno track. I would have one of those, but I would get copyright striked. Surely high BPM music wouldn't impede your focus. It might make it better, but those copyright infringements. All right, I think I'm really close. So maybe I want this. I'm laying on my living room carpet at 1 a.m. watching a streamer debug code. How can life get better than this? It doesn't get better than that. You're a member now. Congratulations. You can thank there was a very, very generous person that did 50 gifted memberships. Starting to get tired. Right, that's what I want. Now what about the next case? All right. All right, there we go. Is now passing the two simplest possible test cases. Nice. Should end stream. I will soon, momentarily. Kind of wonder what would happen if there was a drop of 50 GIFs and less than 40 viewers. But that's what we had before. There's only like 20. So I think a lot of offline people got them. Been a good stream. Yeah, this was a productive stream. Got some progress made on my really gnarly edge case for this screen layer merging nonsense. And we also got some huge number of channel members and massive chat revenue. So yeah, I think we'll call it a night. It's past my bedtime too. All right, we'll be back for day 109 tomorrow. All right, talk to you later.